Oh, hi folks! Welcome back to another episode of Taking a Risk with George. On today's episode, we're making dinner. On today's episode, I'm going to show you how to take any steak. I just happen to have a filet mignon, but you do not need filet. I've done this with a $4 piece of flank, and it still came out better than just about any filet I've had at any mediocre steak restaurant. And the best part about it is you only need one ingredient. Salt. Alright, so let's get started. Here's what you're going to need. Steak, salt, a rack, not the country, one of these, some tin foil for easy cleanup, and a probe thermometer if you have it. Alright, so before I get started with the demonstration, I'd like to point out this wonderful table that I have here. This was a gift from George. I'm definitely going to shout her out, so thanks, George. Thanks, sis. Alright, so here we go. Super complicated, so I'm going to need you guys to pay really close attention. What we have here, piece of filet. What I also have here is a cowboy ribeye. I'm just going to show you because you can do this with any piece of steak and it'll come out the same. Alright, so for those of you who don't know how to measure by eye, which there's a select few that can, what you're going to need is a teaspoon. So 1 teaspoon of salt per side. So there's 1 teaspoon. Just let her have it. Now I know what a lot of people are going to say is that's too much salt. I promise you it is not. If it is too much salt for you, go ahead and roll it back some. Alright, something else you're going to need is a pair of tongs. And this is just for handling. Alright, and now comes the hardest part, which is just letting it sit. Now you do want to put it on the rack. Alright, and the next step is just letting it rest in the fridge for a few hours. Okay, so letting the steak rest in the fridge is definitely a necessary part. So what it does is it allows the salt to penetrate into the steak, tenderizing it. What it does is it collects all the juices and it sends them right back in. And I've tested this method with 30 minutes resting, 8 to 10 hours resting, and 24 hours resting, and I found that 8 to 10 hours worth of rest is the optimal time. Alright, so it's definitely been about 8 hours, and you can see, I'll give you guys a better look here in a second. The salt has been fully absorbed, and these steaks are nice and plump. Make sure to show your meat some love. Alright, so the next step is the second longest step, and this is where you need to preheat the oven to 200 degrees only. This is a slow roast. Alright, so the next thing I'm going to show you guys is my probe thermometer. I definitely recommend getting one of these. This was 15 or 20 bucks on Amazon, and what you can actually do is you can stick this into the meat, and then you stick it into the thermometer, of course, the probe part, and this can actually go in the oven and stay in the oven the entire time, and what it'll do, it'll get you exactly where you want it to be. So my temperature that we're shooting for is 120 degrees. That'll get us a nice medium rare. So I'm going to stick this in the fattiest part, which I think is going to be on this ribeye here. I just want it right in the middle. Alright, so our oven is ready, and the internal temperature we're shooting for, like I said, is 120 degrees. If you don't have a probe thermometer like I do to tell you when that's done, it'll usually take about an hour and a half, depending on how thick your meat is. An hour to an hour. Alright, so the oven is ready, so here we go. That's beautiful. Bye-bye, babies. See you guys here in a little bit. Alright, so now that it's officially past 5 o'clock, as you guys can see behind me, the steaks are in the oven, they're cooking. I'm getting thirsty, how about you guys? As a bonus, I'm going to show you guys how to make one of my favorite drinks, milk and cookies. Alright, so it's not actually milk and cookies, it is an Amaretto sour. So here's my Amaretto, however you want to say it, sweet and sour mix. Cup of ice to drink. And you don't need to be fancy like I am, but I bought this on a whim, it was on sale, so here I am. Now I have an official cocktail set. Alright, so now that I'm all set up, first things first is pour your ice into your shaker. Measure out half a cup. Sweet and sour, which is 4 ounces, in case you don't know cup sizes. Dump it in there. Get your Amaretto and your jigger, that's what this little thing is. This is an 1.5 ounces, so a shot and a half, and this is a shot, which is 1 ounce. I'm gonna just lowball myself now and just do 1 shot. Recipe calls for 2, but I'm just gonna do 1. No need to get crazy on you guys. Close it up, make sure it's nice and tight. Give it a good shake. Oh yeah, I can feel it. It's so cold. Alright, I've got some beautiful, I guess these are metal ice cubes. It came with the set. I'm gonna slide them in there gently as I can. Pop this open. Pour it out. Make sure I get every last drop. Alright, and there you have it. The beautiful Amaretto sour. Bottoms up. That's smooth. Alright, I was taking a nap after those drinks, and it looks like my alarm is going off. We're at 120 degrees internal temperature, so let's check on these bad boys. Oh yeah, those are done. Let's get those out. Alright, so for anybody that doesn't know, 200 degrees is still very hot, so please make sure you use an oven mitt or a glove if you have one like I do, and let's get these bad boys out. Oh, wow, look at that. For those of you that are saying, ew, those don't look that good, I promise you, this is the equivalent of a dry age. So the way it looks is how it's supposed to look, and once we sear it, which is the next step, that was the hidden secret that I didn't tell you guys yet, it is going to be beautiful. Alright, so the next step is to let the steaks rest for 10 minutes, and while you're doing that, now's the time to pull out your hardware, and what you're going to need is either cast iron, which is an American classic. I love cast iron. The only thing I don't like is how much it weighs. But I love cooking on my cast iron, and because of the weight, I went looking for something similar that was not as heavy, and what I found was carbon steel. Wow. This stuff is fantastic. It is a cast iron pan with 1/3 of the weight, so I definitely suggest it's a 12-inch nonstick. It is the equivalent of a cast iron, all the qualities of a cast iron without the weight. Alright, and the next step is to turn on your oven. And you want to keep it on high, because what you need to do is get this pan to 600 degrees. Yes, you heard me correctly, 600 degrees, and that'll approximately take 10 minutes, which lo and behold, that's how long it's going to take for these to rest. So you might be asking, how do I know when my pan is at 600 degrees without searing my hand off? The key to it is this tool right here. This is an infrared thermometer. Quite honestly, it's not necessary. I bought this thinking I would use it more than I do, and I do not. I rarely ever use this. I do like how it works, but it's not very accurate, I don't think. This one has 2 little beams, and it's meant for construction, and it's already at 300 degrees, and I don't think that's accurate. Only one way to find out. Alright, so if you don't have an infrared thermometer and you're trying to figure out if your pan is at 600 degrees, rule of thumb is it's been 10 minutes, it's probably at 600 degrees. You're not going to hurt it if it goes a little bit over, but there is a little trick. You can take a drop of water and drop it in the pan, and if it sizzles and fizzes away in less than 5 seconds, you're at 600 degrees. Okay, this next step is absolutely crucial, and please, I urge you, do not ever stick a dry steak on a 600 degree pan. You will destroy the steak. What you need to do is cover it in a fat, which I'm using grapeseed oil because grapeseed oil and steak go hand in hand. So just a little bit on each side, And I've got a brush. You're just gonna brush it all over. And that's all it takes, just a little bit. And yes, I am leaving the probe in there because if you pull it out too early, you'll lose a little bit of the juice. And the juice is the flavor. Just give them a good flip, and look at that, it looks like I grilled it. It's one of my favorite things about this, this non-stick. And as you can see, my pan is smoking because it is getting hot, and the reason it's doing that is because there is excess fat from, it's just like a cast iron, so all the seasoning is still on there. So just to humor myself, I'm going to see what it's at, this thing. Oh, so we're getting close, but see, I just don't understand. And I do urge you, when you do stick the steaks on here, please open your doors and windows because it will smoke. I'm unfortunate enough that I don't have a hood above my stove, so I don't have that luxury. All right, so it's been about 10 minutes, and I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys the test with the water. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's still a little under, but there it goes. So about 6 seconds. So we've got maybe a minute or two left. All right, so next step is to set a timer for 45 seconds. Yes, just 45 seconds. Get that ready. Alright, I had to put you guys down, but here we go. I'm going to drop these steaks on here and I'm going to start my timer. 1, 2. And I like to give them a little push just to make sure it's going to be even with the sear. And that's where a hood is definitely helpful to pull all the smoke out of your wings, but it smells so delicious. You guys have no idea until you actually make this yourself. Check that out. Oh my goodness. What a beautiful piece of meat. Oh, good heavens. This could have been seared a little bit more, but trust me, it's not going to infringe on the taste. The steak, believe it or not, is already cooked. The sear is just for an aesthetic, just to make it look presentable. Because like I told you guys earlier, it does look a little ugly, but trust me when I tell you the taste is unmatched. And there we have it, folks. We are done. Oh, beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. And now once again, you're going to let them rest. Alright, so here they are. There is the finished product. And I know some people are probably thinking, did you just put cooked steak where raw steak was sitting? Technically, yes, but remember, this was in the oven, so it cooked off anything that could have been on there. But even so, there's people that eat their steaks raw, so I doubt we're going to catch anything. But look at how gorgeous. My mouth is watering. Alright, so these bad boys have had long enough to rest. The family's getting antsy, they're hungry. Let's get into it. I want to show you guys what this looks like. Start with the fillet. Yes, I am cutting against the grain. Oh, beautiful. And yes, this is medium rare. What I found that is if you try to cook it any longer and get it to, let's say, 125 degrees, it becomes super tough. So 120 to about 122 is the magic number. And for anybody that doesn't like fat, or gristle as it's called, you're in for a treat. This right here, as much as I respect vegans and vegetarians, this could change your mind. Alright guys, and now it's time for the true test whether it is good or not. Bone apple treat. Oh my goodness. Dinner was absolutely amazing. The family loved it. Thank you guys so much for watching. If I inspired a few of you to want to make it yourself, here's a recap on how. Where did I put that drink?